So we've got Councillor Chris Holstein with us today. Chris, let's go to the big issues first of all. I just saw you cruise across Kibble Park here. How are the knees?
Well, the knees are going well. 7, nearly 8 weeks in with dual knee replacement, and I'll take the opportunity to thank the surgeons and the staff up at Wyong Hospital. They were absolutely brilliant. Looked after us fine, and I'm slowly getting there, but no more walking like an Oompa Loompa, according to my wife. I'll still doing the physio, and they're going well.
Your next big test is coming up Monday evening when your role as Deputy Mayor will be put to a vote. What's your read on the outcome of both the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor election?
Really hard to say. A lot of lobbying. Both political parties, Labor and Liberal, hold certain sway. It's where they want to go and what they want to do that will dictate. There is a number of independents, number of councillors who are environmentally focused too. So it's really hard to say at this stage. One thing I will say, I believe there'll be some changes. Whether there's changes in both positions or one, I'm not too sure. But there will be changes, I reckon.
Can we put you on the spot and ask you if you're likely to contest the role as Mayor?
Look, I contested the first time, put my name forward. I thought I had something to offer. Been considering whether I'm wasting my time putting my name up again. I can definitely confirm I'd like to maintain the role as Deputy Mayor. It's an important 12 months, and it's going to be an extremely difficult 12 months for the current council for a whole range of reasons. So if I can assist by bringing something to the table as Deputy Mayor or even Mayor, but I'll do so as a councillor no matter what. And I look forward to the challenges in the next 12 months.
Some of the suggestions that have been put forward are Lisa Matthews, Chris Burke, and of course the incumbent Mayor Jane Smith. If you were a betting man, who would you likely see as Mayor?
You're after a commitment one way or the other. Look, if you're a numbers man, the Labor Party have 6 votes. They'll maintain that. The Libs have 4. But then you've got another 5 other councillors that may well have an impact and a bearing on that. You'd need to ask all of them, and then you'd need to ask them about 2 minutes before they vote to get a clear indication.
Chris, let's change tack for a minute. One of the things that's a hot topic for council at the moment are water restrictions. Do we need to bring in level 2 now?
Councillor Best has put up one of his classic notices of motion, which says lots of things, but if you drill down, and pardon the pun on water, but if you go down to the basis, he's just asking us to bring level 2 forward, bring level 2 to be enacted at the storage height of 50%. Now, what you got to remember is February we actually brought it from 42% of storage, brought it up to 50%. So we've already taken steps. There is advice from the officers which will be saying that there'll be a minuscule benefit in regard to doing that. There is a briefing coming up in October, so what I'm going to be looking on tonight is say, Councillors' best core motion is to look at bringing that forward on level 2, but how about we wait till the October? Our water levels have changed just in the last 3 weeks. For when this original motion was in, we've gone up about another 2.5% in our total storage. And even in the last couple of months, we've only been drawing water out of the smaller dams of Marty and Mooney. We haven't touched mangrove. So whilst we all need to be water wise, and council has a range of initiatives which are very good, having gone through that large drought we did many years ago, the people here on the Central Coast have got to be congratulated. You look at our usage rates, you look at our dam levels, and you look how people are being, they've been very good compared to where we were in the 1990s and some of the issues we had then and how much water was being used on average per week. We're well down on that, even with population growth. So it's not about penalising people, providing they're continuing to do the right thing. And the fact that we've already changed that, I'd like to see that briefing. I'd like to get some advice from the officers. There's no need for a knee-jerk reaction. We have got plenty of time. I know other areas are in difficulty, but I don't want to be confusing people, and they've got a right to use their water. It's about how they use it. And so far, they've been very good.
Winney Bay Clifftop Walk has been an issue that's divided both the council but also local community. What's your view on that?
Okay, look, first of all, I probably would have taken a different tack. It became political, unfortunately, and when it becomes political, that's where I think the council have lost sight of it. My tack would have been totally different. Had I been mayor and I could have got council support, I would have said, thank you very much for the money. Let's put it in the bank account. Now let's have a more detailed look, because there were things that needed to change in regard to that aspect. There's things that could be done more environmentally sensitive and better. But the problem is we were fighting from a backward position where we never had the funds that were being offered. Always take the money, then work your way into what you can do to get a better outcome and work with the government then. But then the money's in your bank account. There's a lot of money there that is now not going to be able to be utilised or go to get a better outcome, and that's a disappointment for me, because the dollars that council spend, people don't understand. It's about 30 cents, 33 cents in the dollar is your rates. The rest comes in with the minor fees, charges, but the rest comes from state and feds. So when the state and feds got to put money forward, take it, make the most of it. But I think they went about it, pardon the French, but they went about it arse first.
I want to ask you a little bit about the local planning panel. Before I do, though, the motivation for that seems to be frustration amongst the community and with developers around what some have described as a logjam in council with applications and the cost of local environment court actions. What's your view? Is there a logjam in council? Is there an undue environmental blockage to a lot of development proposals?
Well, having been around since 1991, let me tell you, the environmental legislation when I first came into council was about this thick. The environmental legislation now is like this. So there are more rule regulation considerations, and so that's made it very hard for council. The only thing that hasn't changed is within so many days you've got to make a determination or they can go off to court. The planning panels, and I can only give consideration to what I used to deal with in the 90s and how many development applications you were dealing with as council. Far, far less. JARP has taken a lot of those away, particularly on the big side of things. The local planning panel will take them away, but the number of applications that council from the elected reps are dealing with is insignificant compared to where it would be. And the councillors have that opportunity, if they have an issue, is to call things forward. Is it better or is it worse? The very things you say about, developers complaining, residents complaining, land environment court costs, that hasn't changed in 30 years. They're always going to be the issues. To what extent they are, well, that's councillors monitoring how many times we end up in court. And if we go to court, we want to go with good reason and we want to be able to defend it. But I don't see that being any different to where we've been before. The fact of taking those some of those planning powers away from council and making determination, I only ask this of the government. How does the community have their say? And let me tell you, I know the community will always have at times issues with concerns, and that's our job as councillors to try and address them where we can. With the local planning panels, how is that not lost? I think David Harris said it too. We don't disagree with it, but how do we make sure that there is that consultation with the community?
I think they've said that all the same opportunity for residents to object to proposals are still in place. Do you buy that?
Well, that's what they say. There's a difference between dealing with an entity that's a distance from them. The one thing the councillors are close to them. The councillors is the closest level of government that you have as an individual. So you get a bit more comfort that when you're talking to somebody about an issue you've got with a development, they are your local councillor, they live in the area, you vote for them. When you go away to a panel, they're a little bit distant. How accountable are they in making those decisions, and are they getting it right? And I can show plenty of examples where developments over the years haven't always got it right. And I can take you to several of them around the city. And we always thought we were trying to do the best. But even now, there are still some developments that you've got to question, hang on, this wasn't well thought out. Let's make sure from a council perspective that we're doing what we need to do and getting it right. And then from the community perspective, well, I hope the government will do what they do with it, that they're going to make sure there is that consultation and it is going to be heard. I worry about that.
We have now got the big Pelican, though, so it's onwards and upwards from here.
Oh, Bruce. God, I'm not a Facebook user. Councillor McLaughlin comes up with some crackers, doesn't he? The only thing I can say to Councillor McLaughlin is I was off with my knees when the motion came up. I have been approached by the Peninsula. They want the big mullet. Yeah, okay.
We could go the big Commodore in Kincumber.
Yeah, okay. Keep them coming. Yeah, look, I'll be interested to see what comes of that. They're great ideas, but bottom line, I'm more interested in ensuring that I haven't got potholes. I've got the parks are getting watered, the fields are there, our libraries are operational. There's higher priorities in my book of what we're going to do. It's a good, feel good and a bit of a story, and that's fine, but where it'll go, we'll wait and see.
Councillor Holstein, thank you for talking with us today.
Pleasure, anytime.